Welcome back, friends. Another episode of the Suited Kings podcast, episode 60 or 61 at this point, Wes. What a high number that is.
Run.
I
Yeah.
know.
It's a
You know
lot
what's
of
actually kind of
episodes.
crazy is like I listen to a ton of podcasts, and sometimes I'm like, these people are like into episode 500 and something, and I'm like, how does that even possible? How does that even happen?
Right. Especially if it's something where it's like once or twice a week. Obviously, if that's like the thing they do now and they're firing out 5 a week or whatever it might be. But I feel like most of them are once, maybe twice a week.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that seems like the standard. Yeah, so I mean, they've been doing it for decades, or they release multiple episodes a week. I don't know, but one day we will have hundreds of episodes, hopefully.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
we will.
we'll work
Right.
towards 100 first, and then go from there. How does that sound?
That sounds good to me. 1,000's a lot, but
Yeah, I mean, who
maybe
knows?
it could happen.
Who knows? Yeah, maybe by then we'll have a full production team, and it'll just, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
But
Maybe you'll be
so
able to grow some facial hair by then.
definitely not. You know what? On our next video, I'm gonna add on a beard
A little
avatar, a
mustache.
little mustache or something to
Yeah.
give me a little, beard credit, we'll say. So, anyways, Wes, you texted me yesterday or the day before, and you piled on me a list of a bunch of different episode ideas that you had, and honestly, I loved all of them. And the first one, and I'm surprised we actually haven't talked about this already,
Right.
because it's a big part of poker, and that's trapping.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a right time to do it, a wrong time to do it. You shouldn't do it too often, and we want to get into all those things. But tell me what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I kind of had that same idea. Like, am I sure we haven't done this one? But I don't really think we have specifically. I mean, we've certainly mentioned it, but
I was kind of surprised as well because I mean, trapping is a big part of the game, and you should know how to do it, especially if you've been playing poker for a long time. So, in today's episode, we're just going to really kind of dive into trapping, when you should, when you shouldn't, and the thoughts that kind of go behind when we do that stuff. We have a couple of examples to go through. And then we actually have a listener hand breakdown at the end of the episode as well. So looking forward to getting to that. But before we get into the content for today, I just want to mention that first off, apologize for the the late cancellation of last night's meetup game on Clubs Poker. I unfortunately had to make a last minute escape to go save my parents whose car broke down about an hour away from their house. So I went and picked them up and brought them home, and by the time I got back, it was already, way too late. So,
yeah,
um,
we just didn't have enough people to run the tournament. Like enough right at the beginning.
well,
I think we.
it's so funny because those every time we have a home game, usually like 10 plus people late reg or fit or even more. Um,
Yeah.
and no, I mean, being poker players, that's normal. Most people late reg, including myself. So, if you're looking to get in there to the next meetup game, make sure to. They start at 7:30 p.m. Central Time typically. Hop in the lobby about 7:20 or 7:25, or even sooner if you'd like, and just pre-register. I think we need like four to get it running or something like that. But once we get it running, it piles up. Everybody hops in. So
Yeah. We've been getting 20 some entries
yeah,
the
and it's
last few
juicy.
months.
So let's go ahead and we'll aim for that in 2 weeks from now. I'm gonna look at the calendar while I
It'll be
have.
the 21st, Tuesday
Do
the
you just have that locked
21st.
in your brain or
No,
what?
I just saw the date up and I realized yesterday was the 7th, so 14 days.
Okay,
And
nice. Well
then,
done.
so
Well done. Okay, so
thank you.
what was that date again?
Tuesday, the 21st of
All right,
January,
7:30 p.m. the 21st, guys.
2025.
2025. Yes, that is
Yeah.
correct. Make sure to come join us. Let's get that one big. I'm going to push that one hard. I want to get 30 plus people in it. If we get 30 plus people in it, Wes, I'm going to put $100 bounty on your head.
There we go.
Yep, yep.
Every damn time, I swear.
Speaking of bounties on your head, you got busted on your first bolt of that last one, but no one came to me to claim it. So if that was you, just reach out to me.
Yeah,
And
we know who it is. We know who it is. I don't know if
yeah,
he's a listener, but
I don't either. Yeah.
he's a good guy.
But
Yeah,
you ain't getting your $100 unless you come and tell me you
yeah.
busted Wes. And
To be fair, you did only say 50 for that one.
that one
So
was a 50. Did I? Okay, yeah, that one is 50.
yeah,
That is
but
correct. But you
yeah.
busted. Speaking of which, again, before we get into the content today, tell me about how successful your live poker weekend was.
Uh,
I'm sure you could tell by my laughing.
Let me put it this way. On my first bullet, I early in the tournament, I flopped a straight, got it in against aces. I won. I doubled up. I was feeling great.
Good way to start it.
11 yeah, a level later, I flop another straight. I somehow get it in for over 100 bigs on the flop. We're up against a set. He turns a boat, but that's okay. We're at starting stack again instead of a huge stack.
It's 40K starting stack too, and it's really deep early in the tournament.
Yeah. And then it was a grind. Like I was just not, a little card dead. Eventually I was down to like 12K at the 2K BB. I tripled up. Then I won some more hands. I won an ace king versus king jack suited. I was at 80K at like 3K big blind. And I was like, okay, little momentum. Got ace king again. Got it in against sevens. Could have had a bunch of chips if I win the flip. I lost the flip. That's okay.
Sometimes it
I'm
boils
out.
down to a flip. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, busted that one. Um, I then proceeded to bust 5 more times over a 3-day span, which is not, I've actually never fired more than 5 times in a live tournament. So this was
So you
six
broke a
total.
record.
Yeah, new year, new me.
There you go. Yeah.
I am happy to do it in one of the lower buy-in tournaments. And I this actually
That was
wasn't
literally just 2 MSPT bullets. That's not even a big deal.
totally, yeah. And I went home, I was fine. Like it was just one of those weekends where it wasn't gonna happen. Like that first bullet when I got up to 80, 90K, that's the most chips I had. 4 of the next 5 bullets I only won one hand on. And one of them I won a bunch of hands early and was in the 70 to 80K range. And
Yeah.
then, had ace king versus king jack on a king jack 7, king 9, no flush board where I lost a big pot.
Yeah.
Um, like
Let,
would
let's
just,
let's
yeah,
linger on this for a second, Wes. So I think a lot of people, a lot of listeners and people who look up to successful players see, because I look at you as a successful player. I don't know if everybody else
thank
does,
you.
but I do.
I mean, you're kind
But
of an
I
idiot,
have
Wes, but
expectations for you in my head. I'm like, Wes goes, I see his name always in day twos. He's always bagging, da 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 da. But the reality is you don't see all those times where we do fire bullets and don't make day two because those just don't appear on on sheets, right? So
right.
my point here is that for anyone who's listening to this who feels targeted by the poker gods, like, hey, um, you're not just getting picked on by the poker guys. This happens to everybody, even the best of the best. And Wes is, in my opinion, one of the best players in Minnesota. So it happens to everybody. So just expect that. Know that, I mean, there might be improvements to be made on everybody's part, but it's just part of the game, right? Like you're gonna go in there and you're gonna fire and give it your all, give it your heart, and you're gonna just feel like nothing is gonna happen right for you in that day. And sometimes it just happens that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And appreciate you saying that. And you're totally right. Like it just sometimes happens that way. I think for a good, definitely 2023, but even before that, like I think variance in live tournaments was something that was on my side
Hmm.
for overall, at least it was on my side. And yeah, I think the last year or so, it really has not been. Um, and that's okay. And there's still parts of my game, like you said, that I mean, there's always improvements to be made. It's not to pin results solely on variance, but
Yeah. I think it's
sometimes that will
healthy.
be the case.
I think
Yeah,
it's healthy that I mean, obviously we don't love what it does to the bankroll, when things don't go our way for a whole year live. It's specifically live because of expenses on top of the tournament entries, like
right.
traveling. Like it can, really hurt your bankroll and stuff like that. Just lost my train of thought. But where was I going with this? Damn it. I had something lined up here, but
um
oh yeah, no, I remember. So it's that like you had such a good first few years as a professional. You really do need to experience those downswings to know how to combat. I mean, they're going to happen inevitably. So now you're kind of through your first one, maybe hopefully through it. But you know what to expect more now. So, and I've seen clearly how you've adjusted what you do now or adapted as a professional poker player because of you experiencing these downswings. You're more selective. You're not just firing everything. If you're not feeling as great, you might just take that tournament off. And whereas before, when you're just winning everything, you just fire everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And yeah, like I don't think of myself in a downswing. Like actually since August or so, online has been solid. Um
Do you
it's
want to tell
been
us a little bit about your online experience lately?
yeah, I mean I will say so I had a decent stretch on ACR where I was winning some stuff.
That blew me away because I
It's
can't do
tough
shit
though.
in
It's
ACR.
tough.
The
Yeah.
fields are just too big. The registration's too long. I just don't even. I haven't played on there in a few years now. So
hmm Um I think the biggest thing truly is the cash game or the ring games on clubs poker. Those have been great for me. Um, made a lot
what
of
do you?
those sweeps coins.
The sweeps coins, baby. You
Yeah,
play 2-5, 5-10 online there. Is that
two
right?
five five ten, a little 10-20 when it runs, and even some 1-2. Like the games are very splashy and fun at 1-2.
I'm honestly envious because I mean it's clear that you're more of the cash game player than I. You're also very much better at it than I am. And I hear you don't brag about it, but you talk about your sessions and low key. I'm just like, damn, I wish I slayed the cash games on clubs like that. And you tell me like clubs has just been good to you lately. So props
Yeah,
to you for
it's
slapping on there lately.
um, I'm enjoying it for sure. It's going well, and yeah, I mean,
This seems like a
um,
great time to plug. If you have not joined Clubs Poker yet, check the description and whatever format you're listening to this, um, make sure to check the description. You'll find a sign up link to help support the podcast. If you haven't played on Clubs yet, make sure to use that link. That'll help support the podcast. So check that out, and then you know maybe put Wes in his place, or just lose money to him. I
yeah,
don't know. Whatever
you
whatever
know,
happens.
yeah, or play whatever you want. Like, but yeah, join clubs poker. Use our link. We would appreciate that if you're
Yeah,
looking
they're
to
a
play
growing
some.
site. They're brand new. They started just this last summer. They have a lot of competition, but one thing I've noticed is that they've been growing. They just put out their first series. I'm not sure if it's over yet or not. The Colossal series where they have increased
Yep.
guarantees and things like that. So they're putting in the effort and continuing to grow. And honestly, the player pool is very soft right now. So
And I will say they and you may or may not have seen this, but they are going to be giving away a free $22 22 sweeps coin tournament ticket to every new sign up on clubs poker. Not just for us, but anybody. So
so anyone
if
who
you're gonna
signs
do
up to
it,
Clubs Poker is going to
you
get a
get a
free
free
22 sweeps coin entry.
yeah, and they have some, especially on Sunday. I think they ran a 22 10K guaranteed. So there's some good value out there. You know,
That's awesome. Yeah, I
now
did not know it was
the,
per every entry, so that's cool.
I think he just said it yesterday, like
Oh, okay.
one of the guys. So that's a thing, get in there if you haven't. But
By the way, when I was talking about a soft player pool, that's because I'm in it.
right, well,
I didn't know
obviously.
if that it may be, rhetorical or without being said, whatever.
Yeah,
But
well, and it's like, right now is probably the time you're going to be punting the most on there. Like eventually you'll probably be a dad where you're going to spend less time punting on clubs poker, but that's what you
right,
were
because I
getting
got to
at,
buy,
right?
diapers and milk and shit.
Right. So get in there and just launch max into the abyss and
Was that a pun?
nah.
Oh, I thought like launch your whole bankroll, the max, launch the max.
Yeah, just launch you into the sun, over
Anyways.
and over.
All right, enough with the plugs for Clubs Poker. We
Yeah.
got content to get into here today.
We we do, but and just to finish what I was saying before, like the online has been fine. It's been good. I don't. It's not that I don't feel like I'm on a downswing anymore, but it is sort of from a live tournament standpoint. I still haven't had that
Yeah.
bounce back necessarily, but
It will come, and I think maybe even
it'll
this year
come.
it'll come. And I mean, you're a killer,
Yeah,
so I'm waiting for it.
yeah, whatever form it comes in, it doesn't have to be another like 200K gladiator score or whatever, but
I do want. I mean, or it could be even more or
it
better.
could be more. It
I
could
do
be
want to. we do have to give a shout out, Wes. There is a player, one of our listeners, one of our friends, someone I play with quite frequently now in the live Minnesota scene. Whenever I'm out, I see him out and about. He grinds probably harder than anybody I've ever met. He's one of the young bucks, and he's now Minnesota 2024 Player of the Year, Mr.
Yeah. Okay.
Leo Pinamonti.
Yeah.
Shout out to our boy
Congrats to
Leo.
Leo.
I didn't even know Leo until not this last year. I think it was probably winter of 2023 when MSPT was in town, or the spring. Maybe it was spring. I don't know. It was
Mhm.
MSPT running aces. I got into hand with some kid at the table. Um, I don't remember who won or lost the hand. I don't remember any of the details of the hand, but I remember thinking, okay, this is one of the solid. As a poker player, it's my job to kind of judge, right, and figure out who's good at solid at table, who's not. Well, I thought this kid was good, so I continued to watch him, and I was just impressed over and over. And it turns out that was Leo. I met him,
Mhm.
by name not long after that, and he plays everything. He wins a lot, and yeah, he now is Minnesota Player of the Year. So congrats to him, and also a huge shout out to Preston Kesselring for running the Player of the Year series. So um,
Yep.
that's just on
Yeah.
his own. Yeah, no money.
Minnesota Poker updates on Twitter, right?
Yeah, Minnesota
It's,
MM
yeah.
Poker updates on Twitter. Make sure to check him out. He does this all because he's passionate about the game, and he's done it for a decade now. Like I've known Preston for 10 years. So um,
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, he runs the Minnesota Player of the Year thing, and he'll, when we're at the World Series, he will not only post on Twitter like all the Minnesota people that are on day twos and stuff, but he'll send you your table draw and he'll have the Hendon mob
he'll literally
of
go find your
everyone at your
entire table
table.
draw, yeah, and then
Yeah.
and then send a link for each of their Hendon mobs. So you don't got to go search for any of that. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So thank you to Preston for that. Congrats to Leo for winning Play of the Year. Let's go ahead and oh, you got
We
something you want to
we
say?
well on that note, I think we should congratulate the two-time MSPT Player of the Year.
Oh
Don't you
my
think?
goodness. Another friend of, yes,
That
two-time MSPT Player of the Year, Mr. Umit Ozturk.
Yeah.
What a
I mean, what
legend.
what a guy.
Everybody, anyone from Minnesota knows this guy. He's been playing poker in
It,
Minnesota. I don't even know, 8 years maybe. I don't remember when I first ran into him. It was in the late 20 teens. So,
yeah.
and now
And
he's just,
he's a lawyer. Like he doesn't even do it full time, but he
yeah,
just
I
somehow
know.
gets to all
He's a
these
lawyer, a
MSPT.
father, and now a two-time MSPT Player of the Year back to back, which is unprecedented. It's never happened. So, congrats to him for doing that. What a grind! I couldn't imagine. So,
Yeah. And as he would tell you, he's a donkey.
yeah,
So
I
it's like,
love it.
how does it even happen? No, I think, you know, even though Umit's not like a professional, sometimes he downplays his own
Yeah.
abilities in some ways too.
I think there's two things it takes to be successful at anything. It doesn't always just require good skill. It takes two things. It takes passion and it takes consistency. And he has
Yep.
both of those.
He's got both of those.
And
Yeah.
and and with that comes results and skill. So, congrats to you, Mr. Umit, good friend of ours. Appreciate you and congrats on that. Lastly, Discord. Make sure to get in there, guys. Link in the description. Hop in Discord. We're 200 plus members deep, popping off with hand histories every day. You know the drill. Get in there. If you have trouble accessing anything, you can always send me or Wes a message. We'll go from there. But Wes, for the third time, I'm ready to trap some
All right.
fools.
Let's talk about trapping a little bit.
All right, tell me what you got.
So it's good. It helps when you flop like a full house or the nut flush. Just get good at doing that. And yeah, that's pretty much the episode.
So yeah, there you go. So trapping is that's a great point to start with. So trapping begins with typically having a large part of the equity.
Yes. So a couple of the things that are very important when you're trapping are one, have a hand that is strong enough to justify it, right? Like have a hand that and maybe I should clarify, like it's not a very vulnerable hand. It's not, it doesn't have to be like the stone cold nuts, but it has to be like hard to get sucked out on, I would
Yep.
say, at
Yep.
least harder.
Yep.
Um, and or another factor that will play into it is, do you think this is an opponent who's going to bluff? And not necessarily that they're really spewy even, but are they either spewy or good or someone that's going to bluff pretty frequently. Like
Yeah,
if it's
someone who's
someone,
not just playing their hand strengths face up, essentially. Someone who's willing to get a little creative and play a little more aggressive.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you have a hand history you wanted to go over?
I have a couple ideas. So there's examples for when to trap like pre-flop and
Post
you know
flop.
flop turn, etc. So
Well, let me ask you before you get started. Then, what kind of hands are you going to be trapping with pre-flop, and what does that look like? So, whether you're the first to enter a pot or if someone's already opened the pot before you, like, explain to me a little bit about that.
yeah, trapping pre-flop is going to be less common just because every hand has more equity pre-flop. Like it's hard to have someone really crushed pre-flop with a hand that you're willing to. I guess what I'm saying is pocket aces is kind of the hand, like sometimes kings, but aces is going to be the hand that like you you don't always feel the need to just like try and win it or try and get all the money in now. Obviously, you want all the money in now
Can you
pre-flop
give
with
an
aces.
example of the equities on what you mean by that? So, like pocket aces against, for example, some another hand that still has
Yeah,
equity pre-flop
like aces is just going to be 80% plus.
against all pairs.
Yeah, pairs any like for example, kings or queen, any other pair against even just a random ace, the ace is going to be close to a little under 30%, but close to it. Like,
Yeah, and when you run 30%, it's scary, man. You lose that, a third of the time. So it's like, yeah,
right. And so
run it
it's
three
not
times
that,
and you lose.
yeah, it's not that like you're four betting or, let's say we have a cash game situation where you're 100 bigs deep. I'll kind of give a cash and a tournament example just for people. So, 100 big blind cash games online, it's super common to like, there's a lot more four betting and then five bet jamming than you might see in a live cash game. But
Yep.
so a common situation might be, button versus big blinds. There's a raise, a three bet by the big blind. The button four bets to like 24, 25 big blinds, which is almost, about a quarter of the starting stack. And then big blind being out of position. It's like, well, if you have kings, you're obviously not. So you should five bet jam it, and you're not doing it to fold out ace high, but it benefits. Like folding out ace high is less bad than if you had pocket aces, right?
Right.
The other benefit of five bet jamming kings is also get called by queens or jacks or something, right?
Yeah.
When you
But
have
that's
pocket
not
eight,
trapping.
that's not trapping, right? So
Right.
pocket aces in that same situation, you can go either with a call or a jam. And it's because pocket aces is if you think somebody is going to four bet bluff you at all, you sometimes want to trap them because that will be how you get the money.
Yep. Yeah.
Obviously, if you think someone's only four betting you with kings, queens, ace, king, like if you think they're only four betting hands, they're going to call a five bet jam too. Just jam your aces, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But if
Um,
you think that if you think they have four bet bluffs, like ace queen off would be a four bet bluff, for example.
yeah, or like king queen off, like there's stuff where it's like if they're gonna fold to a jam sometimes, then you
Yeah.
wanna, yeah.
You
um
know, and some, there's a mistake I think a lot of amateurs will make here is where if even if they think their opponents have no bluffs,
mhm.
or excuse me, or even if they think their opponents have bluffs, they'll still jam because they're afraid of losing.
Yeah, that's a good point too. It's like, well, they sometimes lose, and it's like, well, the reason you trap aces is because it is hard for them to lose, heads up. I mean, obviously it has happened to everybody,
Yeah, it
happens all
happens.
the
It
time, but
happens, but this is how you get the maximum. And as they say, you got to risk it for the biscuit, right? So
that's exactly what they say.
yeah, and I mean, you got to be willing to put that equity on the line to get the maximum. And this is how you're going to end up building bigger stacks in the long run, just by by risking some of your equity to try and build those stacks up. That's just how it works.
Yeah. And then I think so tournament wise, I there are a couple spots where you're going to trap pre-flop, and it's mostly going to be aces. Sometimes you'll do it with kings, but and I guess I should say this is like sort of from a baseline standpoint. Obviously, if you think someone just way out of line. Like they're three betting 8-4 suited and stuff. You can definitely trap some other overpairs.
Hmm.
I wouldn't get into trapping hands like ace king just because you're still not favored by that much against two random
Yeah.
undercards.
Again, it all boils down to equity, right? Unless you have them dominated with ace, queen, ace, jack. But even then, they still have what, 30% equity?
Closer to like if it's a suited lower cards, it'll be closer to 40.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you benefit so much more from folding out hands when you
Yeah.
have like an
Yeah,
ace
exactly.
king or an
Not
ace
trapping
queen.
them. Where do you think trapping happens more frequently? In cash games or in tournaments? I
I
have an
would
opinion, but
I
I'm
would
curious.
yeah, I would imagine cash games because there's usually so many more blinds to get in.
Yeah, that's
I,
kind of my thought as
I
well.
guess yeah, I don't
What he means by that is, cash games, everybody's topped up typically. Everybody's 100 plus big blinds deep, whereas tournaments, um, and you could obviously argue the counter here being that, it's easier to trap when you're 20 big blinds or 30 big blinds, like in a tournament, because you're going to get a
yeah.
lot more jams out of those size stacks. But
I would say in cash games it's not that sometimes it's a trap and sometimes it's a pot control mixed with trapping. Like it's not like you necessarily have the nuts, but you're playing a hand. You're not always looking to get in 150 big blinds. So you're playing a hand in a way where you want to allow them to bluff more. Like they're not going to just call off 150 bigs with a medium strength hand. Whereas for 25 big blinds, you can, if you have a strong hand, you can a lot of times just get it all from a medium strength hand
yeah,
for a lot
yeah.
less blinds.
I do want to mention one hand that you played actually, where you did not have pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, or pocket tens, and you trapped pre-flop. Do you know exactly what I'm talking about?
I don't. I'm curious
It
where you're
happened
going.
in the Gladiator when you were in the small blind.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
trap.
that is a trap. That is a
Do you
trap.
want to
So
explain what I'm talking about?
yeah, and so this is actually a unique sort of spot. So and this is not even where my head was going, but I'm glad you brought it up. So when you're pretty short, and this is sort of regardless of ICM, like I didn't do it because of it being a final table, but a lot of times when you have a pretty big pair, and you're short, maybe 12 or less big blinds, and you're in the small blind, you're going to benefit a lot more from just completing, limping in because the big blind is going to jam a lot. They're going to,
Yeah. You got to
try and steal
recognize
your
who your
blind a lot.
big blind, who your opponent is, obviously, like and whether they're capable or not. And also position matters importantly. So in this scenario, it folds to West small blind versus big blind, where ranges widen immensely.
Yeah. Yeah. And like so I had pocket nines. I think we went through this on probably our second episode ever, but the guy, Trexler, he played like a
Team
maniac. And
Torch.
yeah, he had this like Team Torch logo. His whole rail was like pumping him up, and he had shown this may have been after the fact, but he showed a 3-bet bluff with five deuce offsuit or something
In for
crazy.
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, the dude's just anyway. So I had pocket nines and like eight big blinds, and I think this is actually a pretty standard. Like my default decision is probably just going to be to trap this anyways. But against this player, I was like,
It's a
oh,
slam
he might rip it in with five high here, right? And I think he's actually so he ended up having king three off, which I think he should rip in anyways.
dunk. Yeah.
Um, but it ended up working out where I just flopped a nine and I like min bet the turn and he just ripped it on me for some reason and he was drawing dead.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah. So I
it,
mean,
it was pretty cool.
but yeah, it's a great example of you don't always just have to trap aces or kings pre-flop. Depending on your position, specifically blind versus blind, you can trap a lot wider. Like a lot of times, if I'm sub 20 BB and I have, say it folds to me, say I have 18, 17-ish big blinds in the small blind and it folds to me. Let's say ICM doesn't play a role here, and the big blind, regardless of their stack, whether it be bigger or smaller, and I say I have ace 10 in the small blind and it folds to me, I'll often just flat here.
Hmm.
And I'm trapping with ace 10 because I know my opponent's going to shove all the worst ace X's, all of the worst king X, king X's, queen X's, etc. Sometimes it sucks though because when you trap with those hands, you're still only a 60% equity.
But
But
it's a spot where you want to get it in against.
yeah, and I mean, getting it in as a 60% favorite, while, you don't want to run that too many times in one tournament because you're ultimately going to lose it all if you keep running those spots. But um, yeah, I think just again, ranges widen up as position changes. So just keep that
Yeah,
in
the
mind.
later position. Yeah, that's a good point. And like the other short-ish stack spot that I'll trap pre-flop, and that is a pretty standard thing to do, is like if I'm in late position with pocket aces and I have, 15 to 20 big blinds and there's an open, that's a great spot to trap aces, not only in theory, but a lot of times in practice, because one, it looks like a great spot for someone to squeeze behind you. If I'm on the button and hijack opens, I have aces, I have 18 bigs, I flat. Like this looks like a great spot to squeeze from the blinds.
Yep. Yeah.
And you can induce a lot of stuff. Now, and there's also hands like ace 10 suited, ace jack suited, maybe some like ace 9 suited, king jack suited, those sorts of strong hands where you don't really want to three bet. Like you don't really want to three bet. You kind of want to see the flop and see if you hit something first. And yeah, anyway, so you want to be able to flat hands like that without people sort of taking advantage of it. So
Mhm.
aces is just a great hand to trap. And now, if you're like 50 blinds deep, I wouldn't recommend this because you want to build the pot and get the money in with 50 bigs. But if it
Great
at
point.
20 bigs, like it might also just be the case, like the opener might have king 10 offsuit. And if they flop a pair, suddenly you can get it in against them with aces, right? Whereas if
Yeah.
you three bet, they're going to have to fold it.
Yeah. It's just so
Um,
much easier to get in 20 big blinds against their range than it is 50 big blinds. So,
yeah, like I have an awesome example from the super on Global the other night.
okay.
I was telling you about. So 12 left. I have a little bit under 20 big blinds. It was something like 17 or 18. And
Okay.
it's a big stack in the cutoff. He's got 60 some big
Which
blinds.
is absolute piles at this stage of the tournament for sure.
Yep. So he min raises the cutoff and I have aces on the button. And
Hey, real quick, let me pause you. Can you hear my heater? through
no,
Not
I
picking it up.
can't.
Okay, I just don't. I don't want the listeners to get distracted by that. But it's cold as hell. Continue.
Oh yeah, it is very cold. So anyways, and both of the blinds had a little bit less than me, where either of them could have easily three bet jammed. I'm like, this is a great spot to, if I were to double up here or stack one of the blinds, like I'm going to be top four stacks in the tournament probably.
Yep.
And this cutoff guy is going to be opening very wide, and rightfully so. He's a big stack. He wants to
Apply pressure to
He
shorter
wants
stacks.
to
Yeah.
chip up.
Yeah.
So we get a 997 two hearts flop. Pretty good. Um, he bets on the smaller side. So cutoff C bets and I call. Turn is an offsuit king. Um, so it's 997 king with two hearts. And he sizes up a little bit. And my thought at this point is like he can have a lot of kings. Like I think if I go all in here, I
Like
could continue.
all kings would probably play this way.
Yeah. Like
That'd be open. Yeah.
I think if I go all in, he'll call it off with a king, right?
Okay.
I think there are a decent amount of cards that change the board on the river. Um,
Yeah. We don't want to see.
I
'Cause what was the what was the was there a flush draw on the flop?
Yep,
So there's a
yeah,
lot of
there's
cards. Yeah. So it could be a third. What was it? A spades.
hearts.
Heart. So it could be a
So
third heart that comes on the river, which changes the action. There could be, it was 998,
997 king.
not 997. So I mean, yeah, there's some straight cards that could also come that can make, yeah, I think that this is a great place to just kind of send it at this point, especially when you have what, 14 bigs or something.
Yeah, yeah. I had he bet like 3.6 blinds, and so me all in is the only raise
We
size
want to
we
get
have
value
here.
with our hand at this point. Yeah.
Yep. And if he has a draw, like I'm happy to just run it against a draw.
Yeah.
There's an argument for calling two to get him to, if he has like a low equity bluff,
Are
he'll
you in
might bluff
position or out of
river.
position? What position were you in?
I'm on the button.
Okay, so
Um,
yeah, flatting in. So I think the reason I think it's okay to flat is because then you don't have to check and then have him have the opportunity to check back rivers. You can then just being in position, you'll have the opportunity to bet the river if you do call the turn instead of
yeah,
raise.
yeah. So I think there's an argument for just calling the turn or
Yeah,
ripping it
I
in.
think both are fine. Yeah.
I did decide to go all in, and we got the call, and he had Jack nine offsuit, and I was out of the tournament. So
He
that's why you
flopped
never
it.
trap pre-flop, guys.
There's two things I want to say about this. First off, is regarding the board texture. I think it'd be better for you to call the turn if the board was just a little bit more drier, a little more dry. Um,
Agreed.
Secondly, I think this is a great example for you to give because even though we are trapping, and this is something I said earlier in the podcast, is that we're risking that equity to get the maximum. And here, this is an example of where like you could have jammed pre-flop, won the hand, and then had it bent over. But if you wanted the full double, you played it. You would continue to play it the way you had it. So I think even though you lost that hand, you played it the best way you could.
I
That's a place
agree.
where you do not want to be results oriented, I guess is my ultimate point.
Yeah, absolutely. I obviously, yeah, this is the sort of hand that people might play and be like, "Oh, I'm never doing that again." Like, how did this guy bust me with Jack nine offsuit? Like, he would have folded if I just three bet, which is true, but that's not, if you know your opponent has a hand like Jack nine offsuit, that's the perfect time to trap aces
Perfect. You
because
have, I mean, just crushed.
yeah, it's what's more likely he's going to flop one pair or he's going to flop a hand that's better than a pair.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
one pair is going to happen so much more often, and even if he doesn't, like whether you get him to bluff additional chips or he flops a pair and you get value from it, like that's going to end up good for you much more often than it isn't. But
The hand you just described, actually just it brought up some really bad memories,
some trauma.
some trauma. So the year is 2018, I want to say. I'm in Las Vegas for the MSPT $1,100 buy-in, 3 million guarantee at the Venetian. This is right when they started doing
Mm.
Venetian
Oh
MSPTs.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm chip leader of the tournament. There's over 3,000 entries. I'm chip leading with about 15 people left and a $500,000 to first place.
It's a big pile.
I don't remember the hand history exactly at this point, being it 6+ years ago, 7 years ago. But I remember under the gun jammed somewhere sub 12 big blinds. I'm in the cutoff with I think it was 8 big blinds, if I remember correctly. I think it was 8 big blinds. Early
Hmm.
position jams, 8 bigs. I'm on the cutoff with pocket aces. And again, I'm chip leading. I don't remember how many bigs I had. It was over 50 bigs.
Hmm.
Um, I had pocket aces. And at this point, I decided not to isolate. I decided just to flat so I could get, either someone to re-squeeze behind me or to have the big blind come along and try and get more value from them post flop. Uh, so as expected, the big blind did call. Not as expected, but the big blind did call.
Hmm.
And the big blind, I think, had like 24 bigs or something around there. The flop comes Jack, Jack 4. Obviously, big blind checks, goes to me. I bet, I want to say it was like third pot or something. Again, I don't remember the action too clearly here. But then big blind jams, I snap, and big blind's got,
Yeah,
he had like Jack Queen O or something like that. Yeah.
yeah,
But again, first off, trauma because
yeah.
that,
That ended
that
up
spot
because
sucked.
you got like ninth in that
I
one,
ended up
right?
getting ninth in that tournament after that. But there you go. My first bad beat I probably told on on the podcast, maybe
Yeah.
who knows. But anyways,
Yes.
that just kind of brought up that. But sometimes you get beat when you trap. But one thing I do want to mention is don't get held up on that. No, you did it for the purpose and for a good intention to make the most, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way.
Yeah. I like how we just both we're talking about trapping aces pre-flop and we
And
just
then just
like,
getting punished.
yeah.
Well, I do have an instance in this past weekend at the Canterbury $400 monster stack where I did trap successfully.
Yep.
You
Pre-flop.
want to hear it?
Yeah, let's hear that.
And then after we talk about the pre-flop trap here, maybe you can give us some more examples of post-flop trapping.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Which obviously will change things a lot. So so prior to this hand, I had a decent stack. I want to say I had somewhere. Let's see, the blinds I want to say were 50. I still want to say it's like 1K, 2K. Again, I don't have the West brain, so I don't remember everything off the top. But Rob Wazwaz sits under the gun. He just won a couple pots, so now he's opening every pot, trying to build up a stack. He opens to 4K on I want to say about 65 to 70K. I have about 85K in the cutout or in a hijack with two red kings.
Hmm.
Um, Before I tell you what I obviously I flat here because we're doing a trap episode, but the reason I trapped here wasn't because Rob opened, even though I know Rob's range is wide and I could flat here for that reason. The main re the main
Yeah,
reason I go
and
ahead.
I was gonna say, I think rebetting Rob because like he'll probably call with like a lot of the suited
Yeah,
connected stuff.
yeah.
But you had it was not him, it was what was going on behind you was the reason.
Exactly. So I did not trap because Rob opened. I trapped because I had a history over the past hour or 2 hours before that with the player to my direct left in the cutoff. I just met him. His name is Fabian. Super solid player. I'd never played with him before. I think he's a Minnesota dude. Um, he had been three betting me constantly. I think he had three bet me over 6 times in the past hour or so, hour or two. Like he's very aggressively three betting.
Mhm.
And I did see a couple showdowns where he definitely did not have premium hands after doing such, like King
Yeah,
Queen. I mean, King Queen's an okay three bet. Don't get me wrong, but I just know he's doing it wider than premiums, right?
right.
He's a solid player. I like his three bets, so that's my point. Anyways, I know he's uh, I know he's three betting light, so I flat Rob's open
Mhm.
and then he snap jams 45K.
Yeah. So that would have been like 22 and a half blinds at the time.
Exactly. Folds back to Rob. Folds back to Rob. He folds. I snap. Opponent has what did he end up having? He had Ace Queen O. He had Ace
Yeah.
Queen O. And then you hear Rob from across the table. What a hand, Max. What a trap.
Yeah.
That Rob was deep
Yeah,
voice.
the Rob voice.
It's so funny whenever he sees someone do something he likes to tell. It's like, oh, that was amazing.
Yeah. Wes Cannon, ladies and gentlemen.
Was
Wes Cannon. Yeah.
Oh, wow, what a character.
Yeah.
So I ended up
And
holding
you
there,
you won
and
the hand.
yeah, but my
All
point,
right, there we go.
yeah, I won the hand, but it's like be aware of not just who's opening the pot, but who's behind you, what their stack sizes are, and what their options are based on those stack sizes. So I know there was a lot of 20 and sub 20 BB stacks behind me, and when people are sub 20 BB, the chances that they're going to be three betting. Jamming are going to be much wider than it, or much higher than if they have 40 plus big blinds, right?
Yeah. And I think sometimes people, if you've taken a couple bad beats recently, you can get in the mindset of like, oh,
Take
I don't
another
want to
one.
be against ace queen or ace jack with my kings. It's like, okay, but in the long run, you really do. Like
Yeah,
that's where you chip up a lot.
that's
You're going to win
exactly.
those over 2/3 of the time.
And that's kind of a point I've been trying to push. Don't be afraid of losing these hands when you trap. Like and don't over trap. Don't always trap. I notice a lot of people do that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, and in a normal situation, you're three betting the kings there, but
Yeah.
if you three bet, the likelihood that the guy on your left is going to four bet jam. At that point, he's probably only doing it with premiums, but like
Yeah.
by flatting, you widened his range a lot to where he could put in chips
Exactly,
with.
because now he thinks my 4K in the pot is dead money. So he thinks I mean, if he gets through Rob, he's most of the time getting through me,
Yep.
a very large portion. So that one worked out. I ended up chipping up pretty nicely in that tournament. I bagged 350K. I think I peaked at 500 something. We had 1100 and something entries, and I busted 66. So it ended up being a good tournament for me. But yeah, I thought that was a great spot to lay the trap, and it ended up working out. So let's go ahead and move on from that, Wes.
Yeah. Talk a little post flop trapping.
Yeah.
And this is where most of the traps are going to come into play.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
because in these spots you can have your opponent dead right off the flop sometimes. Like pre-flop, your opponent is never dead. They always have equity, unless it's like pocket nines and pocket nines versus pocket aces. But you'll never know that, right? Like because
yes.
you just never
Yeah.
know that. So,
Um, yeah.
so I didn't mean to give PTSD you because I know you got pocket nines versus
Yeah,
pocket
my
queens.
my my last bullet of the tournament, I got it in nines versus nines and queens, and I was like,
You're dead.
I guess I
You
need
could hit a straight
hearts.
flush or something, yeah, or a flush,
Yeah,
yeah.
I had one live suit. Anyways, that's not the point, obviously. The the situations where you're going to want to trap post flop are going to be spots where you have a, you know, mostly when you have a pretty strong hand and your opponent is betting into you, and you you think that if you raise now, they're going to they're going to fold some hands that they would continue betting with otherwise. Um, and there have been plenty of times where I like will bet flop as a semi bluff, bet turn is mostly a bluff. Like maybe I have some outs or maybe I don't. And then someone sort of goes all in and I'm like, it's annoying because I lose the pot, but I'm like, okay, well, at least and they'll like show a set or something or two pair. And it's like, it's annoying, but obviously I am kind of glad that they sort of jumped the gun and didn't let me bluff off the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in some situations I will just triple barrel bluff. We have another episode on that.
I was just
Won't
gonna
get
say
into that
that.
here, but
Yeah. When to double and triple barrel as a bluff. Check that
yes,
episode out from last year. Great episode.
great episode. Um, anyways, yeah. So I think here's maybe a simple example is we have, let's go with pocket sevens. Um, and let's say we're in position. I would also say another factor is if you're in position, trapping becomes much more appealing because if your opponent chooses to check, you still get to bet on that street.
As I mentioned earlier. Yep.
Yep. So being in position, having a less vulnerable hand, and also having an opponent that's very capable of bluffing. I think those are.
One more thing I want listeners to take into consideration when trapping is again, how deep are we?
Mhm.
If we're, 40, 50 plus bigs deep, we might not want to trap here. We might just want to play our hand fast and because otherwise we're going to lose value by not putting enough chips in the pot by the time we get to the river.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so that is true. In this case, though, I was going to talk about a three bet pot. So
Okay.
it probably won't apply here, but
No, for
I
sure.
think I think
Just a
that's
general thought.
yeah. If you have a very strong hand, you do want to make sure that you're giving yourself a chance to win the whole stack.
Yep. Exactly.
Um, so yeah, let's say we got pocket sevens and we, raise the cutoff and then the small blind three bets and we call. And let's say we're like 100 big blinds deep, right?
Okay, very
This could
deep.
be this could be a cash game or a tournament. And let's say we get a 8-7-3 flop.
Good
Uh,
flop. So the
Great
second
flop. We
nuts.
got middle set. So let's say we got like 20 big blinds in the pot and the opponent has like 90 blinds back. Um, and then they bet 8 big blinds.
I already see why you clarified what I said does not apply here because we're very
Yeah,
deep.
yeah.
But you're in position, etc. So
Yeah, and we're in a three bet pot. The pot's gonna be much bigger and the bet sizes are gonna be bigger. So
yep.
it's a
Continue.
little different. But um we have middle set here, and I think it can be a common thing for people to flop that set and get really excited and be like, oh, they three bet me and I have a set. They have aces, and I'm gonna raise the 30 big blinds and jam the turn. And it's like, okay, well, there are two things you want to think about here. One is a lot of opponents when they three bet, it's not just going to be over pairs and ace king. It could be queen 10 suited. It could be ace 5 suited. It could be king queen offsuit.
Hands that
And
just have zero equity at this point.
hands where it's like maybe there's a backdoor flush draw or straight draw, but like pretty much drawing dead already.
Yeah.
And one of the benefits of trapping, so a reminder, it's 8-7-3, and we'll just say it's a rainbow board to really drive home the point here. It's a pretty dry board. Especially where they're not going to have a lot of the straight draws, like maybe a 10-9 suited now and then or a jack 10 suited. But if you make a big raise with pocket sevens here, you're going to end up letting hands like king queen or queen 10 suited off the hook. So you want to, give your opponent a chance to continue bluffing on later streets, or two, give them a chance to turn top pair, right? I
Yep.
think people, be like, oh, they have aces or kings, like let's get the money now. And it's like, well, if you call, like, you're gonna end up getting the money from aces and kings anyways. A lot of the time,
Yeah,
they're
because
gonna,
there's no scare cards really on that turn.
yeah, they're gonna
Even a
keep
nine,
betting
they yeah,
those.
yeah. Even if it brings a third straight card, like that's you're still getting the all of it from kings and aces more than likely.
Yeah. And secondly, a lot of times when people will, like, there have been times when I've actually made a big fold of an overpair. If someone like raises and bets again, it's like you want to make sure, like, think about how you would play most of your range on this board. Like if you have pocket sixes, if you have, you know, 9-7 suited, if you flopped a pair, if you have a one pair hand, you're not going to suddenly want to get the 100 big blinds in. And maybe some people will, but I'm guessing you're not going to just pile. If you flop an open ender, you're not just going to try and get it in against an
For
overpair.
100 bigs each, yeah, probably.
Right. Yeah. You're not
I
going to
mean, I'm
suddenly,
not going to, but maybe some players will.
yeah. And so you want to make sure to play, you want to make sure that when you flop a set here, that you're not just like announcing the strength of your hand either.
Yeah, and
And
flatting's a great way to do that because you're going to be flatting with your pocket sixes, your 9-7 suiteds, your even I mean even your
ace three
pocket tens,
suited.
jacks might
Yeah.
just be
Like tens, pocket tens is a hand where even though it's a vulnerable hand, you don't want to get
play for
in.
100 bigs here. Yeah, even though you have an
Yeah.
open pair, like you don't want to play for all your chips here with that hand.
Yeah. And so this is a great opportunity to trap. And if there, let's say there is kind of a wet turn card that brings a flush draw and it's like three to a straight and your opponent bets big again, you could decide between raising or calling. But I think in general, you're going to want to just continue calling too. Like, and there's this concept called protecting your range where if you if you are a player who, you know, is going to raise when you have all these strong hands, suddenly observant players will notice that when you just call, they'll pick up on the fact that you just can't have a very strong hand. And that can allow them to continue betting against you.
Let me give you a disclaimer or put a disclaimer on that, and it's be
Mm-hmm.
aware of the field of the tournaments you're in. Like a lot of times you don't have to worry about that concept when you're in your local daily, right? Because a lot of these people just are clueless. I mean, I don't mean that as an insult. I just
No,
mean they just haven't put the
absolutely.
time in. They're there for entertainment value. They're there to get it all in and get their heart race and stuff like that. So just be aware of the player pool because like this applies more so when you're playing WSOP events or like deeper in
Yeah.
MSPT events and stuff.
Yeah. And or I would even say I was thinking more online too, where you're going to be
Online's
playing
great for that.
against the same player a lot more frequently.
Yeah,
You're going
yeah.
to get a lot more hands, and so
And
people will pick up on tendencies
that's
more
a great
easily.
point. Yeah, absolutely. Online for sure. And I know a lot of our listeners play online, so that's a great clarification.
Yep. But yeah, even live, like if you and I are at Canterbury, like over the years, we play enough of a sample size with people that if we're doing something drastically obvious, like most players will pick up on it to an extent.
I
But
agree. Yep.
um, yeah. So, anyways, this would be a great opportunity to trap post flop. 8-9 or 8-7-3, three bet pot. They see bet again. Turn is a queen. Maybe it brings in a flush draw, but like you still, I think if your opponent bets big again there, you're still going to want to just trap and
Can we clarify why we're trapping here? I think just to kind of mention is that like not we're not trapping to we're trapping because our opponent has bluffs as well, and we want to keep
yep,
those in. So we want to make sure because here's the thing: if they have value, we're going to get value anyways. So um, if they have bluffs though, and we start raising, we're going to lose that. So this is a way for us to get the max out of both their entire range, essentially.
it is. Yeah, that's a good clarification. And I will say, and I've been here too, where it's like maybe you've trapped the last couple times you've trapped someone, like someone sucked out on you in some sort of weird way, like they hit the back door straight or something, and you just sort of feel like burned from that, and I think a lot of times people can make a play where it's like, well, I don't want that to happen again, or you hear it with pocket jacks or something like, or pocket kings. It's like an ace always comes, and it's like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
if that's the mentality you're going to come at it with, like, okay, just take your 30 big blinds and go all in with kings, and
That's
sure,
one that's
someone
one of my
won't hit their
favorite
ace
things.
on you, but you're also like playing it
Kings are the
completely
ace
face up.
magnet. It's
Yeah,
like not actually. There's no logic to that. So, but
yeah,
when you hear that, it makes you understand where that opponent's mindset is at.
yeah. Unless you have the nuts on the river in poker, like everything there's some element of chance involved of every part of it, and your job to play the best game you can is like to take the best calculated risks.
Yeah,
And if you
good
have a
point.
hand, um, if you have a very strong hand with a opponent who has the betting lead and who is aggressive, like you're going to benefit from allowing them to bluff. And just know that if they have a strong hand too, like the money is often going to go in regardless. So apart from that example, I think some spots to trap that most people do get right are like, let's say you have ace jack and it comes ace ace jack. Like, regardless of the action, the reason that this can be a good spot to trap in is because you have the board so like it's hard for someone else to have an ace or a jack for you to get money from,
Hmm.
and you will never lose to a flush or a straight because you already have a full house,
Yep. Yep.
and if they somehow beat you, it's because they had ace king or ace queen and hit their three outer, and like you were gonna the chips were always gonna go in against that hand anyways, so you're never trying to get someone off of a draw, right?
Yep. Yeah.
um so I think that that's one type of spot where people will always feel safe to trap. um but yeah, in general, like, do feel um feel open to expanding that a little bit to hands that could be a little vulnerable but not really that vulnerable. um so
Okay, I like it. I like it. So one thing I want to mention about this episode and trapping is that trapping can be very intricate. There can be a lot of different details you need to pay attention to. It might even be fun for us to do like a trapping masterclass episode. Imagine like a 2 or 3 hour long, either like a YouTube episode or like a audio episode, where we go and really dive into all the intricacies of trapping and give a bunch of really good examples for people to really kind of cling on to so they can have a good understanding of when you should and shouldn't. And I mean, that was kind of the goal of today's episode, but you can only do so much in the allotted time we have. So, um, is there anything else you wanted to touch on trapping before we go into our last segment here?
not necessarily. Just, I kind of wanted to give a general overview of it.
Yeah,
um
go ahead and kind of tell me your key points that you think of or pay attention to or want to give to the listeners when trapping. I think a good one to start off would be is trapping pre-flop is going to be different from post-flop.
and one thing we didn't mention about pre-flop is, like, let's say you're 30 or 40 bigs deep in a tournament, you have aces and you raise and someone three bets. That's also a decent spot to trap aces, for kind of the same reasons we've talked about before. But in
Definitely. Yeah.
general, the things that will lead me to wanting to trap a hand more are: one, we have an opponent who not only is capable of, going for it all with their value hands, but they're going to bluff with at least a reasonable
I
frequency
think
too.
that's very crucial to understand to make sure your opponent's capable of both of those.
Yep. Two, make sure you have a hand that doesn't need too much protection. Um, we and this can go both ways, where it's like sometimes your hand is just not strong enough to trap. So it's not like you're trapping, but you're just calling as sort of a, because you're mostly only beating bluffs anyways. And I don't consider that a trap specifically, but when you are trapping, make sure you have a hand that isn't, there's not going to be a ton of like turn and river cards that kill your action. So, for example, if you have 10-9 suited and the board is like ace 10-9-3 with two flush draws and someone bets into you, that could be a good time to go all in if the stack size is uh at a reasonable depth, right?
Hmm.
Because there are so many, if your opponent has ace queen here, almost half of the deck will complete a flush, and more than half of the deck will complete either a flush or a straight. So there are just a lot of cards where you're not going to get the money on the river, but you could get called off on the turn because you could be semi bluffing.
Makes
So
sense.
make sure it's a spot where there's not a lot of cards, even if you're not as
The
worried about.
drier the board, essentially.
A dry board is good, or like, um, yeah, just cards that you don't think will. There need to be a lot of cards, or there need to not be a lot of cards that could kill your action or give your opponent the best hand. And third, while this isn't like I would never say don't do it out of position, but you should be a little bit more willing to do it in position, because if your opponent decides to check, you still have the option of betting. So out of position, I would say I would encourage fast playing a little bit more out of position.
Okay. I like it. I like it. All right. Well, Wes, maybe I foresee a future where we get more in depth on trapping. But for now, I want to talk about, and we'll end the episode here with a hand history from one of our listeners. And this one's a little bit
Yeah.
of a special one because I was there to witness the hand. I did not know what the opponent at the end here. I'm gonna have you guess. I'm gonna give you three guesses. Obviously, it might not be enough because they could have a lot, but I'm gonna see if you can get anywhere near what our opponent had. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this is from listener in Discord. He goes by Mike Puddinhead. He's a local crusher. You'll see him if you're playing the Minnesota scene. He's
Yeah.
always there. So
Mike Wilklow
Mike
is the.
Wilkwo, yeah. So make
Yep.
sure, not make sure, but if you played Canterbury Running Aces, you probably played Mr. Mike. He's a good, solid, he's a very good player, and he's been grinding for a long time. So, anyways, um, I believe so. He sent me that. It's funny because the hand finished, and everybody's kind of inquiring about what he had, and he said, "I'll DM you it on Discord, and you can talk about it in the pod if you want." I was like, "Oh, for sure, this will be a fun one." Because I was like I was trying to guess all the hands you had, and now I see what he has, and I'll tell you that I didn't guess it right, so we'll leave it
Okay.
there. Um,
All right. Let's hear it.
so there's about 5% of the field left, so 1,100 people enter this tournament. So what's that? 60 players left or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's got to be more than that because I busted 66. So, anyways, somewhere between 70 and 100 players. Um, Mike is in he's a big stack at the table. He's in the low jack with 900k, which is 45 big blinds.
Mm-hmm.
Villain is in cutoff with 600k, which is 30 big blinds. So low jack with 45 bigs, cutoff with 30 bigs.
Yep.
Blinds are 10 and 20k. Mike opens to 45k and cutoff calls blinds fold.
All right. So we
So
got a pot of 140 right now.
pot is 140. The flop is jack of diamonds, eight of spades, four of diamonds.
Yeah. Check 8-4, two diamonds.
The flop goes check, check.
Yeah.
Interesting hand, right?
Hmm.
Pot is still 140k. The turn comes to two of spades. So it's jack of diamonds, eight of spades, four of diamonds, two of spades. Hero now bets 150k. And that
That's a little over pot.
bets a little over pot. Yep. So he bets. So it's kind of like a polarizing size bet. He bets a little over pot and cutoff calls.
Yeah.
The river, the pot is now 440k, and the
Mm-hmm.
river is the king of clubs. So one more time with the board. It's jack of diamonds, eight of spades, four of diamonds, two of spades, king of clubs. If you're listening to this hand, well, let me give you the river action, then I'll say this. So hero jam. So Mike jams 405k into 440k, and
Mm-hmm.
cutoff tank folds.
Yeah. So we won't know what cutoff had.
We will know what cutoff had.
Okay.
We discussed this after, so I know what both players had. We will get to get all that information. But if you're listening to this, take a second, pause it, think about the hand through, and see if you can get anywhere near. But pause it right now, and then I'm about to give you the answer after Wes guesses a couple times. But I want to see if you guys got pretty close. So, Wes, do you need any more information? Do you want me to repeat any of it?
No, I got it. So I'll walk through what I'm thinking here is like, so when he checks this board on the flop, it's going to be some ace high stuff. It could be some traps like a set or pocket aces.
I like that you're
Um,
giving me your thought process from there. Good. I like this.
yeah, or it could be something like and a set would fall into this too, but it could be like a 10-9 of diamonds because there were two diamonds on the flop where he's sort of checking to check raise as a semi bluff or for value if it's an overpair.
Could be a lot of draws. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it could be a check as sort of a trap slash, maneuver, or just a check like I have ace high. I don't want to, I'm just trying to get the showdown, right?
Yep. Yeah. So it could be either like a value trap, or he could plan on check raising. It could be somewhat of some showdown value, so he's just trying to not inflate the pot, or he could just have ace highs where he's kind of giving up. Is
Mm-hmm.
that what you're saying?
Yeah. And so when the turn comes the deuce of spades here and he bets big, I'm ruling out stuff like ace 10, ace queen, because I think he would just continue to check. I
We're
will
gonna
say there
remove
could
those ace highs. Okay.
Yeah. I will say if he had ace X of diamonds or now ace X of spades, I could see, especially if he has like a weak kicker, let's say ace five or ace three suited, where now he also has a gutter now. I could see him betting big, get the other ace highs to fold, maybe get like a pocket sixes or something to fold. Um,
Okay.
so on the turn, I think it's like for value, it would have to be at least a jack or it's a bluff.
Okay. A,
Um,
a jack or
Jack plus or a
jack
bluff.
plus or a bluff. Okay. Um.
And then on
Okay.
the river is a
What
just
bluffs would he have here that he's betting? Before we get to the river action, what bluffs do you think he has here where
it
he's betting
it
over
could
pot?
be it could be that 9-10 suited, it could be a queen 10 suited, ideally with a flush draw, but maybe not.
Okay, just a reminder, the
Ace,
flop was Jack 8-4 for the listeners, two diamonds, one
yep,
spade. Turn
yeah,
brought a second spade, so it's two flush draws on the turn. So a lot of the straight draws and flush draws we think could maybe check flop, but then start barreling turn.
yep.
Okay, all right.
Um, the river king is like an oddly blank. You're not used to a king or an overcard being a blank, but neither flush draw hits, none of the straight draws gets there,
In
and like it's
comparison
a
to the
very
board, it's a blank.
disconnected.
Yeah,
It's a disconnected card.
agreed.
Um, when he goes all in here, I don't like the king itself. It would have had to be like pocket kings or king jack for the king to be relevant, but I would have guessed those hands were already ahead.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. And I'm guessing that King Jack would probably see bet to some extent.
to some extent, yeah, it doesn't. It certainly doesn't have to though. So now when he jams like this, I think we can. I mean, maybe Ace Jack is like it's probably theoretically a good value jam, but practically, I don't think a lot of players are going to bluff catch you that much, so it might not be as good.
Okay.
Um, Queen, stuff like Jack 10 suited is now it's not going to be good. So I guess when he jams now, I'm like, it's pretty polarized to like it could be a set, it could be King Jack, it could be pocket aces, um, or it could be there are a reasonable amount of bluffs. I'm not entirely sure his frequencies or anything. So
Okay.
there's not like a solid read I have, you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Um,
I mean that's a good thing, right? I mean that for him.
that is a good thing. And maybe here's what I would say is like this is going to be tough to call off with one pair of any sort, right?
Do
Like
you want
this
me
is
to
just
tell you what cutoff had? Not what our hero
not
had,
what
but
not what Mike had, but just what
yeah,
cutoff had.
what the
Yeah.
cut. Yeah, so Mike was high jack, and so our low jack, and then villain was cut off. So do you want me to tell you what cutoff had?
Yeah, did he have like a pocket sixes or something?
He had the queen jack of clubs,
Oh man.
and he
Yeah.
folded river. But he
Yeah,
wasn't worried about a king, as we kind of discussed. He's like, that's kind of he was on. I mean, we kind of had a little bit of a talk about the hand, and he had mentioned that there's the king was kind of irrelevant as well. So he didn't fold because of the king, but
yeah, it's like Queen Jack suited at this point is a pure bluff catcher, even though it seems like it's
pure bluff
stronger.
catcher. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did
That makes
Mr.
sense.
Puddinhead have?
Okay, so
Again.
that's interesting information because that's one jack that's gone from the deck.
Yep.
I
So again, reminder for the listeners: board is Jack of Diamonds, Eight of Spades, Four of Diamonds, Two of Spades, King of Clubs. Think long and
I
deep, buddy. I would,
yeah,
you know what? I should cue up some Jeopardy music or something.
you should. What's gonna be the most likely? It's gonna be and truth, this is a sign credit to Mike. Like I don't know. Like it doesn't. I'm not like, oh, he does the. This is always value,
Yeah,
or this is just a
yeah.
bluff. But
The fact that he has you stumped is means that's a good thing.
yeah, like a jack is going to be a tough spot for me
Give me
against
three
him.
hands, whether they be value or bluff.
Um, I will start with 9-7 suited.
Wrong.
Okay.
And give me suits too, but it's not 9-7 suited.
Okay. I will say my first thought was ace three of spades.
Okay. Wrong.
Um, I
That could be a
will,
good one. I like ace three of spades.
yeah.
I will hold on before you give your third guess. I will say you are right on target. You're right on track. Just,
Okay.
just to
So
help you, just to help you with your third
so
guess,
so
your
I
final
won't.
guess.
All right. So I won't. I was gonna say like pocket aces, but it sounds like it was a bluff.
Yep.
Um, I will say so. It
Oh, I,
was
I feel like you're gonna get really close.
6-7 of spades.
Ah, no. Nice guessing. Good guessing, Wes. You are very close. He had the 5-6 of diamonds. So he flopped.
Okay. Yeah.
So he flopped the or he flopped the gutter and the flush draw.
Back. Oh yeah. He had the actual flush
The
draw. Yeah.
front
Like
door flush draw. Yeah. So he flopped a massive combo draw, checked it, and then decided to play it as like a delayed, double barrel
yeah. And
jam.
he turned a double gutter. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
That's
did.
that's
Oh, he
cool.
did. You're right. I didn't even recognize that. He turned a double gutter. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
But
he
I
had a
think
double
it's
gutter with the flush draw.
yeah. I think it makes sense to me that he would be planning to check raise up. Kind of like I said, if he had a 10-9 and a diamond, like a strong combo draw, like he might, even though it's not a trap, like he's planning to check raise. And again, this is a great example where it's like when he check raises the flop, it's not always going to be a set, right? He's gonna have hands that are bluffs. And yeah, I mean this so
In
that's a
reality,
cool
while
hand.
yeah, in reality, while you didn't guess his exact holding, you were on
You
par
know,
with all of your thoughts on what you were thinking. I mean, yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
you were able to boil it down close enough to know that it was either a very large combo draw or a value. So
Yeah. And
and
someone
and
told
and
me it was a bluff, but
until the river or until the third guess, yeah.
yeah.
So,
Um
anyways, well played, Mike. He ended up, yeah, cut off, folded, and that we were all very interested in what he had, and now it makes sense. So, that was a super fun hand, and I'm glad he was willing to share that with us to be able to discuss over the pod.
yeah. Well, and let's talk too. Like the fact that he got a jack to fold is just makes it an awesome bluff, right? But
Yeah,
even if our opponent was going to call with the jack, like in his spot, we have six high. We have, there's a spade draw on the turn. There's some other draws. There are a lot of like weak hands that are still beating us that we can fold out.
you
We
got to
could
be
fold out.
careful
Yeah, like
when doing this against a really really solid opponent because they'll be able to rip apart that a lot of bluffs are missing here.
totally. But also like even if even if that's true, even though that is true, I should say,
It's not easy, yeah.
it's not easy, but there are still a lot of easy folds. Like if let's say the opponent could just have, ace ten of spades that turn the nut flush draw, like that's going to be a snap fold on the river.
Yep, yep.
Um, one sign of a good bluff is when there are a lot of hands that you're losing to that are just going to snap fold on the river.
And yeah,
Um,
I mean, getting queen jack to fold, that's fantastic.
and
And I
yeah, the
think he would
fact,
have folded even if the river was, say, another deuce. Like the king isn't
yeah,
what the king isn't what made him fold. So yeah,
yeah, the king changes very little. Like it could be a random king X of diamonds or spades, right? But for the
yeah,
most part, that's not a a seven. I would say a queen is worrisome, but we would have rivered top two
Some of my
pair.
first guesses were like he had like queen 10 of spades, queen 10, something like that.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. It's kind of in the same boat. Um,
Yeah.
anyways, that's a cool hand, and yeah, thanks for sharing that,
Yeah. If
Mike.
you guys want your hand, excuse me, if you guys want your hand discussed on the pod and and have us guess about it, make sure to send us some DMs with those hands. And we'll try and make
And
this a more regular thing. I think this is fun.
yeah, I liked this format where obviously one of us has to know the hand going in
You got
to
to give it to
reveal it.
me next time, and then I'll break down it in my thought process.
Yeah, but feel free to tell us, but then we can sort of tell the action to the other person and have them guess, and I think that's sort of fun. And you can get a little feedback on how we thought you played it, and
I like
um,
it. I like it.
yeah.
Thanks again, Mike, for sharing that, guys. We're gonna go ahead and end things here, but happy New Year's to you guys. Here's to another year of crushing, 2025. Wes, hope you have a good night, my friend, and we'll be back next week. All right.
All right.
All right, guys. Until next time.